Hi readers, welcome to episode 1 of Never a Worry, Oral Interpretations. As I mentioned in my blog post from February 17th, 2014, I wanted to throw some oral interpretation videos or audios on occasion. This works well as a comment from Eleonora's blog made me think of the post I'm about to share as something particularly salient. Although you can read the text on my blog, you can either read and then listen then read, or even try to parallelize the process. Alright, here we go. This is from Saturday, July 3rd, 2010. Got up at 3 o'clock in the morning to use the restroom, and there was a somewhat unsettled stomach. But I slept again until 7 hours and 25 minutes, Had blueberry muffins for breakfast. Great! Birthday tradition of mine, as I've posted in another blog post. My gift, a Northwestern hard hat. Oh yeah! So, showered and packed for Kansas City, because we're going to a wedding. But, unfortunately, in trying to leave, Dad had his usual travel complex. So, we managed to leave Lincoln at 900 hours, and en route to KC, there were all sorts of random conversations. I tried doing some journaling while I was on the trip, but getting distracted with chatting with family, watching the scenery along the interstate, sometimes it just doesn't work out very well. So, it was a pretty quick trip as we got to the Kansas City airport MCI by 11:30 hours, and Casey was there waiting for us, coming in from Texas. So, we took the freeway to head downtown, via the, via the alphabet soup of interchanges, and, once we got toward the Kansas side of Kansas City, we eventually found a Chick-fil-A for lunch on State Line Road. Now, they were offering a promotion on spicy chicken sandwiches with waffle fries, and makes me think about whether Chick-fil-A is where this whole "give me a chicken sandwich with waffle fries for free" came about. Is that where the semi-meme came from? So, it was very tasty, because I seem to like spicy chicken-based dishes. So, we then headed to the plaza, starting with the girls going to Bare Essentials, and we, meaning Dad, Levi, and I, went around looking at windows at other places, because, well, perfume, not my thing. So we went to places like Williams-Sonoma, some novelty gift stores, and heard a few cover artists on the street. And some of these stores, like the chocolate or cheese places, had some interesting smells coming from them. So, once we got done with our window shopping, we had to wait more than 30 minutes for them to finish. It might not have actually been that long, but when it comes to shopping, when I'm done, I'm done. So, we headed toward the hotel, in Crowne Plaza, but, well, it's not a Weiss vacation if we don't get lost. We got lost? Hooray! We're on vacation! So, even though we could have parked very close to the hotel, Dad insisted on parking very far away in the Crowne Plaza garage. But the good thing is that the Link Skywalk got us to the hotel. And then, I don't remember why I wrote this, but for every two, there is a fro. Maybe it's just the to, from, to, fro. What am I doing trying to do interpretation of the oral interpretation of the written? Okay, that digression aside, apologies. So, there were a lot of people there, family members, friends of Michael and Megan, and very much other things too. So, heading up a very rapid elevator, we got to our room, and I journaled to this point in the bullet format that you see above. And at 1800 hours, we left, and from the rest of the day, as well as the rest of that weekend, I went to paragraph format in my journal. So the rest of this will be a verbatim reading, but you'll see definitely some voice and maybe some inflection that doesn't pop out in the choice of words. So it was an easy drive down Main Street to get to the parking garage just next to the Sprint Center. Dad wanted to try for cheaper parking, but no can do. We parked at level 2 of a $10 garage, and, I mean, in a city, that's not bad. We exited to Walnut Street and saw Famous Dave's at 14th Street. We were directed to the rear of the restaurant, and much of our family had already congregated over there. I spent some early time chatting about randomly with our side, such as Aunt Cheryl, Pam, Lori, and some of my cousins. But it's plenty fun to branch out, too. I chatted with Uncle Barry's stepchildren, Jennifer and Kristen. What? I'm not going to say their last name. It was mostly ice-breaking for a while, like usual in my conversations. Jen is a grad student at Creighton, and Kristen a senior at Drake. We chatted about living arrangements, costs of living, difficulties in our fields, and much more came up, too. Sounded almost more philosophical and academic than... Oh, wait. Where was I going with this? I actually wrote that, so I'm not trying to recall it from memory. Well, in some sense, when I wrote it, I was trying to recall something from memory and forgot. Digression aside. So, food had arrived at the back table as we suspended conversation in order to eat. I went back with Mom, Levi, and Dad. The excellent food included beef ribs, a brisket sandwich, and cornbread. While eating, Molly picked up on my flirting, but I don't know if that's what I'd call it. I don't have an ulterior motive, and I try to know someone a little before befriending him or her. Plus, there's a little thing called incest in which I refuse to engage. Family relationships should not be strained in that way. After dinner, some embarrassing stories were told, much like I think would happen at any prenuptial dinner. So, unfortunately, the acoustics were worse than terrible, such that I couldn't really hear a word they were saying. Ellen first told the story of a young Michael, and it had something to do with changing underwear, Superman boxers, and something like that. These Superman boxers were revealed after the story. Thank goodness they were not on Michael. And then one of my cousins, David, brought up the story of a young Michael with a TV in his room, and David scared Michael by beaming the remote off of a mirror in order to turn off the show Poltergeist. Scary. Then a few of Megan's friends were talking, but it was even harder to hear them. First was Katie, who went off with a rapid-fire list of Megan topics, but since I really didn't know Megan all that well yet, I understood almost none of the references. Then someone else spoke. I forgot her name and forgot to write it down, which I could hear zilch. Next time, the password is microphone. Ding! Pardon the game show reference, if anyone got it. So, after the stories, Levi and I continued chatting with Jennifer and Kristen. Like usual, my conversations ranged all over the place, from Iowa to Council Bluffs. Oh, wait a sec. Academia to pure randomness. Anything went. The way conversations went, I didn't get a chance for my go-to topic of music, but memory certainly entered the picture. I explained retrograde amnesia. Oops, I called it retrograde amnesia there, but anterograde amnesia is the losing of new memories with regards to their grandmother. Weather also came up, as it can be a good springboard for me since I associate it with a bunch of topics. So, Some people wanted to go out after the prenuptial, which sounded like fun. After all, we were in the Power and Light district in Kansas City. Of course, Levi's underage status made us unable to go to Howl at the Moon. So we instead went to Bristol, although we were considering cheating by using Michael's ID card for Levi. Thankfully, that wasn't necessary at Bristol, just a block east, I think, of Dave's. The ambiance, yes, I made a spelling error, but I'm going to keep it there. It was pretty dark, and as we sat at a few round tables, the server invited us back to the wine fridge. Once there, Jennifer recommended shots for everyone, but Aunt Cheryl had given me a green envelope with a birthday card inside. I took the green envelope that Aunt Cheryl gave me and wrote pass on it. Once our party was full, there was a toast to Michael and Megan. In that last paragraph, you might have noticed my interesting choice of emphases on words. As it turns out, when I was writing this, I noticed these all look bridge associated. East is a player direction. Pass is an action in the auction. Invitation is a certain kind of bid. And let's see, card. Strangely enough, I did not emphasize the word table. So I just sort of sat listening in on conversations. I was considering getting a drink called X-rated, but my stomach and or mind were both telling me no. Honestly, I think this is where my rule number 0 of my alcohol policy was derived. So, or explicitly derived. So that policy is, if in doubt, don't drink. Conversations were various, but at this point I was really tired and failed to internalize most of what was going on. Besides, there'll be plenty of conversation tomorrow. So, before we left, Michael and their clan were the only real remainders. He told us of the story of Megan, how she moved from Omaha from Ashland? Okay, that's a typo. Should say to Omaha from Ashland in elementary school, and was in Michael's 4th grade class. Once in college, she decided to convert to Judaism, and the rest is history-ish. It's one of the most interesting stories I've ever heard. So, it was 2,300 hours and 30 minutes, and we fought through a little bit of traffic in the Power and Light district before successfully returning to the Hyatt at Crown Plaza. Once there, took some Indocin, brushed my teeth, and turned on my Speed Sleep MP3, which allowed me to successfully crash. To be continued. And so, that, my dear readers, is my first oral interpretation of something that I've written. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you liked it, or even if you didn't, have any suggestions, whatever, please use the comment box. That's what it's there for. Until next time, this is Noah signing off for Never a Worry, the oral interpretations. Bye for now.